In the middle of the vast and scorching desert, a photographer becomes trapped in a place as isolated as it is unsettling, where a mysterious woman and a group of wild children watch him from above. What begins as a search for help turns into a nightmare of confinement, strange rituals, and a fate from which there is no escape. So today we will see a movie called The Seeding. It all begins in a desert, where a solitary boy staggers forward while gnawing on a human finger, searching for his mother. A few kilometers away, a car travels along a road that ends abruptly in the middle of the desert. The man driving it gets out and continues on foot. Wyndham is a photographer who has come to capture the solar eclipse. After taking some pictures and noticing the day coming to an end, he tries to return to his car but unexpectedly encounters a child who seems lost and frightened. Wyndham is willing to help, but the boy does not seem to want it. He points in the direction where he lost his parents and walks away. Trying to help him find his way home, Wyndham follows, but the boy brusquely rejects his support and disappears. The man is left alone in the darkness, with no way back to civilization. Wyndham lies down on the ground to sleep but struggles to do so, replaying the day's events in his mind. Suddenly, he hears strange sounds. He follows the noise and soon finds stakes with taut ropes strung between them, from which bottles hang, producing a melodic clinking in the desert. Before him lies a vast canyon, at the bottom of which stands a wooden house around which a woman wanders, singing a song. Wyndham calls for help, but she enters the house as if ignoring his pleas. He finds an iron ladder leading downward and begins to descend. However, it only reaches halfway down the canyon, and from there continues as a rope ladder. Wyndham braves both and approaches the house. He knocks insistently at the door, but receives no response, so he decides to open it himself and enter. The woman, standing by the stove, greets him calmly, as if she had been expecting him. She offers him dinner, and though he refuses, she serves a little soup and places it in front of him on the table. Wyndham thanks her hospitality but keeps asking how to leave such a strange place. He tells her about the boy he met and asks for water. The woman, named Alina, suggests that he rest until morning, and Wyndham gratefully accepts her care. He lies down on the bed she points out, watching as Alina fixes herself up and noticing that she is young and beautiful. The next morning, he gathers his belongings and leaves, hoping to find his way home. But strangely, he cannot locate the rope ladder he descended the day before. Without it, it is impossible to reach the iron section. Wyndham returns to the house and, pulling out his camera, takes pictures of the surroundings and of the drawings on the canyon walls. Everything seems grim and reminds him of death in all its forms. Then he observes Alina, who is busy repairing the roof, and asks her about the missing ladder, but she either does not understand what he is talking about or pretends not to. Although her words hint that there are others living there, she does not tell him directly. Disappointed, Wyndham roams the canyon, periodically calling out for help, but in vain. Later, Alina asks him to undress so she can wash his clothes, saying it would not be proper to return home so dirty. The man has no choice but to comply. That night, once again struggling to sleep, he goes outside and tries to find a way out, but there is none. The following morning, he searches the house and, finding a hammer, attempts to climb the canyon wall. Suddenly, he notices movement above, and then a chicken carcass falls, causing him to lose balance and tumble down. Wyndham regains consciousness in the dark, his leg wounded by his own hammer, and cries out in pain. Alina rushes to help him, but does not answer his questions about the children he saw on the cliff. For several days, he drifts in and out of a feverish state, unable to tell day from night, unsure whether he truly sees children around him. At last, the day of his recovery comes. Limping, Wyndham goes out and demands that Alina tell the children to get him out of there, but she feigns ignorance. She offers him to stay, promising to care for him and ensure his well-being. But Wyndham wants none of that. He wishes to return home and continue his work. He pushes her roughly, rejecting her help. The man examines his leg and realizes it will be a very long time before he can use it again. Suddenly, he hears voices from above and looks up to see the boy holding the hand of a little girl. The pair cheerfully ask how they can help, and when they learn Wyndham wants to climb out, the boy promises to bring ropes and pull him up with his winch. But before leaving, he asks a strange question about Wyndham's favorite color. He answers that it is red and begs them to hurry. The boy and girl leave, and Wyndham checks his wallet in his pocket with no intention of going back for the rest of his belongings. Suddenly, a rope drops from above, and the same boy advises him to tie himself well, which Wyndham does. They begin to hoist him up, and the man already anticipates his rescue, but halfway the rope hangs loose over the canyon. Wyndham shouts and tries to climb on his own, but lacks the strength and ends up dangling helplessly under the merciless sun. He regains consciousness, feeling moisture, and looking up, sees the boy spraying him with a hose, mocking him. Several other children appear on the cliff, ranging from very young to teenagers, all dressed in clothing clearly taken from other people and behaving improperly, jeering at Wyndham. They begin swinging the rope, smashing him against the canyon walls. Instinctively, he calls for Alina and sees the woman furiously shouting at the reckless children, before he loses consciousness after another blow against the rock. That night, he wakes in bed and immediately tries to get up. Alina does not understand where he is heading, but Wyndham is determined to do whatever it takes to escape. The woman explains that the children are orphans gathered in the desert, surviving as best they can. Neither of them realizes that while they talk, the children are on the cliff, watching through the house's windows. The next day, Wyndham observes Alina releasing a bird, envying its ability to fly. The woman brings him a set of replacement clothes from somewhere, and though he did not ask for them, he is moved by her thoughtfulness. Time passes. One day, Wyndham plants a small garden at the bottom of the canyon. From time to time, the children bring them various items, food, and drinks, which surprises Wyndham, since there are no stores nearby. He cannot understand their behavior. First they feed him, then they mock him. But Alina accepts it as normal. The man becomes more involved in household tasks, marveling at Alina's calmness. One night he tries to ask her questions, but they are interrupted by shouting in the yard. Alina advises him not to go out when the children act like that, but he runs outside and sees the kids dressed in bizarre clothes, gathered around the house. They start mocking him, shoving and hitting him, but suddenly vanish into the darkness. Wyndham demands answers from Alina. Who are these children? Why do they live there? And why does she remain in such a dreadful place? But the woman stays serene, never admitting she is a prisoner. That very night she approaches Wyndham and, hungry for female affection, he eagerly welcomes her. Time passes, and in Wyndham's garden the first sprouts appear. One day the boy in the cap calls to him from above. He is friendly and promises to bring him soda. Wyndham returns to his plants and unexpectedly finds a wedding ring and car keys buried in the sand. That night, Alina shows him the portrait of a woman she calls the First Mother and confesses that she is expecting his child. Shocked, Wyndham cannot believe what he hears. He never wanted to have children there, least of all with a woman he barely knows. He yells at Alina, but has no choice but to accept it. The next morning, he finds his garden destroyed by local birds, but Alina willingly helps him replant it, earning his gratitude. Gradually, life in the house takes on a semblance of normality. Alina tends the home, and Wyndham does exercises to rehabilitate his leg. One day, the boy in the cap visits again, curious and full of questions. Wyndham asks him to help Alina, since she is going to have a child and they will need a doctor. The man asks the boy to bring a rope and something heavy to use as a counterweight. He plans to climb out and take them to the city, where he can care for the woman and the child. The boy promises to do everything. When everyone is asleep or has left, one of the older boys appears and takes Wyndham away. Later, he tells Alina that the boy wants to study, that he is intelligent, different from the others, and that he wants to live in another way. The man wants to help him and help her too, but Alina reacts strangely, trying to figure out exactly what Wyndham misses there. When he mentions freedom, Alina looks puzzled. After all, no one forbids him to do anything in that place, so isn't that freedom? Then the man speaks to her about the outside world, recalling the ocean and a cheeseburger. Alina does not know what that is, so Wyndham explains what the dish is made of. The woman admits that her mother used to say that outside there are only mirages, but that here in the desert everything is real. Wyndham takes out his camera and shows her the pictures he took the day he arrived. But what impresses the woman is not the solar eclipse, but a random shot in the car, with music playing in the background. That night he has nightmares about the terrifying faces of the children mocking someone. In the morning he hears a terrible scream from Alina in the yard and, running outside, sees the boy with the cap crucified on the canyon wall with wires. The savages are on the cliff, laughing. Suddenly the woman declares that her brothers would not do such a thing and accuses Wyndham of killing her son, striking him on the head with a board. When he awakens, Wyndham finds himself in a cage. Despite his pleas, Alina has no intention of letting him go. She feeds him like an animal, while her children gather to witness his suffering. One day he sees a girl standing on the cliff. It is clear she does not belong to that place. Wyndham manages to catch her attention, though he fears to shout so as not to wake Alina. Whispering, he begs the young woman to ask for help. She understands, promises to do what is necessary, and leaves assuring him she will return soon. Wyndham waits hidden, watching Alina, now heavily pregnant, as she goes about her tasks. Suddenly he hears screams and sees the savages capturing the young girl. They drag her to the cliff and kill her brutally before his eyes. Time passes and Wyndham remains in the cage, an unwilling witness to strange rituals performed by Alina, her children, and her brothers. One day suddenly he tells Alina that he wants to stay there forever, raise his child and love her, that she will be his queen. He promises that he will teach the boy everything he knows and that he is ready to surrender completely. He insists that it is his choice, but at the word choice, the woman laughs. He has never had one. He is nothing more than a seed carried by the wind into that place, and that child belongs only to her. The man will remain in the cage until the baby is born, and after that, nothing in the desert is wasted. Finally, the day of birth arrives. Alina screams in the house while Wyndham paces back and forth in the cage. The woman approaches begging for help, since she has never had such a difficult delivery. She releases him, and he does everything possible to ease her pain. The children watch from the cliff at what is happening. Suddenly, Wyndham sees a ladder descending from above, but Alina screams and he stays by her side. The baby girl is born at the moment of the solar eclipse. Wyndham takes her in his arms and kisses her, happy to become a father. Alina begs him to hand the baby over to her, and upon receiving her, promises to feed and protect her until she becomes the new mother, at which point she will fulfill her purpose, just as Wyndham has fulfilled his. At that instant, the boy approaches him from behind and slits his throat, exalting himself over his fallen body and assuring him that he does it for the mother. Later, Alina gathers Wyndham's belongings and stores them in a chest, then goes to the baby, promising her that everything will be fine. Meanwhile, Wyndham's body decomposes in the yard of the house, sprouting grass and disintegrating until it becomes dust. This is where this unusual movie concludes. I hope you enjoyed the video.